We're gonna wait a few more minutes till we start. Same rules as always. Mute yourself on Skype. Use the link in the Outlook calendar for attendance tracking, please. I thought you were making pieces of me, you're just eating a cookie, and I'm a little jealous. Don't forget to spit. I want ice cream. Oh, because they're just out there?
Yeah.
Oh, totally, yeah.
What kind?
Kind of chocolate chip.
Get a whole bowl of cookies.
I thought you were being sarcastic.
Chocolate chip and Snickers.
I know, but I don't want to eat all your cookies. If I have a plain chocolate chip, then we'll split half and half. Okay. I didn't say pecan, because I didn't know that's out there.
Allie's gonna bring us a whole bag of cookies.
Our focus is on point today, guys. This is great news. Yeah, don't forget to spit and sample the bottles out to customers afterwards. If you're in Ohio or Pennsylvania, sample them out to customers and charge them a nickel or something. You should charge something, doesn't matter what.
Yes.
That's why we did a time lapse over all these calls. I wouldn't have gotten smaller.
Oh, hey.
Oh, hey.
I just ate almost this entire thing.
Cardboard? What was that?
Chocolate bar.
Oh, nice. Okay, guys, while we're still waiting for more people to jump on, was anyone able to find a Trockenbeerenauslese?
Trockenbeerenauslese.
We're almost there. Add another syllable.
My man speaks German.
Yeah. I said Auslese, and he said Auslese.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Auslese.
TBA. Anybody find that? We did not.
Yes, you did.
Look at that. You don't
Pennsylvania representing.
Nice, Amanda. Very nice. Shannon, you didn't find it because apparently it's really not in Virginia at all. Like, technically it is, but it's not. That's why we didn't find it. Oh, I see you're typing. I think that means yes. Yeah, all right. Cool. So we just have the volume all the way down, and if everybody's muted, we'll be fine.
Okay.
Okay, let's get this show on the road. Right after I eat this last piece of cookie.
Folks, this is our last call.
You were watching me take bites out of my sandwich, and there was like mustard involved, so cookie, I feel like it's best case scenario.
It's getting crazy in here already.
This
This one's going to be fun. We heard that you guys think we're funny.
Too.
Let's move over.
You're actually
Why
perfect.
can't we move the camera?
You guys are perfect in the
Right.
from my view.
Okay.
You guys are perfect to me.
Welcome
We think you're perfect.
to us. Unfiltered, unedited. All right,
As always.
as always. So, today we are covering what would have been covered on call 9, in addition to call 10. So, Austria, Germany, Portugal, and Spain, four of my favorite wine companies. Whoops. I'm sorry. So we are going to talk through Austria and Germany and then taste the Rieslings, and then we are going to talk through Portugal and Spain and taste the Spanish wines. So let's start out with Austria. If you're following along in the slideshow, this is slide number 3. It has the map of Austria on it. If you look down at the bottom there where it shows like what percentage of Austria like the map is, like that out portion, I don't know what that's called. I'm sure it's something official that's not that. You can see that all of the wine regions in Austria are all right up against that eastern border. So while Austria runs a little bit more east-west, there's just a strip there that has all the wine regions in it. Because they are all so close together and so similar in where they are, Austria is a cool climate growing region, so the whole country is considered a cool climate growing region. Austria is famous for Gruner Veltliner. They're also known for minerally white wines and spicy red wines. They have 4 wine regions in total, like we said, all tucked into the eastern third of the country there. And this is an interesting fact about, the year's typed wrong on your slide though, not 1895, 1985. In 1985, there was a big, very public scandal that revealed that low-quality wines contained ethylene glycol. And now Austria has the most rigorous wine quality and labeling standards in the world. Ethylene glycol, if that sounds familiar, that's because you've probably heard, like, seen Law and Order where someone got poisoned with it. It's toxic to humans. It's the active agent in, like, antifreeze. It's also in brake fluid and that sort of thing. Not supposed to be in wine. But because they had that big scandal, now they have a super strenuous system to maintain what is and isn't in wines. Top wines of Austria, like we said, Gruner Veltliner. It's a light white wine. That's on my phone. If you just called into the phone, you need to mute yourself, please, because we can hear you. *7 to mute.
You can also turn your volume all the way down.
It is. No.
All the way down.
Thank you for
Just double checking.
excellent. So much trust, guys. So much trust.
I mean, you do it to me.
I believe with my
Absolutely.
ears, okay? I believe with my ears. I just heard someone.
But we can't hear you anymore, so thank you for muting. Gruner Veltliner, light white wine. If you see that it is called Classic, spelled with a K, 2 Ks actually, it is typically lighter and more peppery. If it is labeled Reserve or Smargard, it is usually more rich with tropical fruit notes, and it may have even been oak, so you get some of those secondary flavors from the oak. A couple of other top Austrian wines, Zweigelt. I like to start today with a disclaimer about these pronunciations. I looked them all up and I practiced them, and if you speak these languages, you're probably still going to be offended, and I'm deeply and truly sorry. So, Zweigelt is Austria's most planted red. It's a cross between Saint Laurent and Blaufränkisch. Blaufränkisch. I'm just going to say it confidently. So it's a light red wine. The Saint Laurent is a nice light and red, and the Blaufränkisch is a little bit more full-bodied.
Blaufränkisch.
Blaufränkisch. It's close. That's the other great thing is you're going to have to watch Dana's face while I butcher these words because Dana can say them correctly. So make sure you're watching her and you'll get an extra little bit of humor. It's a light-bodied wine, red wine with bold cherry flavors, slightly herbaceous herbal finish. And it can also be used to produce a delicious fruity rosé. Blaufränkisch is, like we just said, it's the spicy medium red wine that it was one of the parents of Zweigelt, but by itself, it is also an important Austrian wine. It has red forest berry flavors and dry tannins, and the good vintages have depth and tannin structure that allow them to age, and over time they develop a more velvety mouthfeel.
They're forest berries.
Well, most clearly speaking, berries you'd find in the forest. So think more along the lines of like when you're out on a hike and you see little red berries. So not strawberries that are grown in the field, but more along the lines of like, let's say, red currants and
Like wine berries that Adam has been collecting that we're going to make a pie with.
oh,
Yeah. We're going to make a pie
well,
with wine berries. that
everyone's
Adam's
invited
been
to Adam's
collecting.
house. And he can't uninvite you because he's probably not watching. We love you, Adam.
You'll never see that.
We'll never know. Other top wines from Austria. Oh, this is going to be bad. Blauer Portugieser? I'm sure that's not right. It's a simple light red. Pinot Blanc. And I wrote Pinot Blanc because Weissburgunder is the Austrian word. That's floral and minerally. And then Rieslings are also very famous from Austria. And if you taste a Riesling by itself, not side by side with Germany, you might think they're very similar, but when you do taste them side by side, you're going to see that the Austrian Rieslings are a little bit more lean and herbal than their German counterparts. Jumping into Germany, we are now on slide 6. You can see with Germany, they are not so longitudinally restricted. They're spread out a little bit more over the country. But even so, because again, we're talking about a pretty small country, they're a cool climate growing region. The whole country is considered cool climate. They've championed single variety wine since their first mass planting of Riesling in 1720. So when we talk Europe, like when we talked Italy and France and as we talk Spain, a lot of those countries are labeling things by location or by where they're from, and they're oftentimes very blend heavy. Whereas Germany has kind of led the way in single variety labeling and single varietal wines in Old World. Germany's the world's top Riesling producer, not a surprise to any of you. And the Rieslings range from dry to very succulently sweet, which we will taste today. Climate there is also ideal for light reds and aromatic whites. So like when we were talking cool climate back on call 5, maybe, because Germany is all cool climate, those wines do well there. And in most recent years, Germany's led the way for Europe in terms of organic and biodynamic wine production. So as we go and we're expanding our organic, biodynamic, responsibly made wine sections, you're going to see more of these wines from Germany because they're kind of at the forefront, and they are at the point where they're producing enough that they can export, whereas not all countries are doing that.
Led by the great Rudolf Steiner, who really was the first person to speak and teach of biodynamics in the modern world.
That's Dana's history crush.
I love him. She does.
Okay, so Germany, top wines from Germany. Riesling, like we said, we're going to dig into this a little bit more. But it's the top German grape, white, aromatic, like we said, the styles range from dry to sweet wine. If it says trocken, that is denotating dry, whereas Eiswein is going to be the sweetest. And again, we'll get into that a little bit more on the next slide. Dornfelder is another popular German wine. It's an everyday value wine. It's a medium-bodied red wine. It is boisterous, sweet baked berries, vanilla, balanced moderate tannins, spicy acidity, earthy herbal finish. So you see why this is a great everyday wine. It's kind of covers it all. It's not extreme in any way, and it's just easy drinking.
I sell a ton of it in Ohio.
It's true.
I don't remember the brand, but I mean, like they stack it all over Columbus and Cleveland.
Yeah. We could get some in Toledo next week.
Let's pop one.
Let's pop one.
We have glassware.
We have glassware. Side note about our team. Every time we go somewhere for a store opening, if we weren't able to drive, which means we weren't able to bring all the things we want, one of the first things we do is hit up the Goodwill and get nice crystal wine glasses for dirty cheap, so we can drink our wines out of something other than plastic.
Mine's not nice or crystal.
Oh, mine is totally crystal.
Mine's
It's
like
nice. I use the word nice in terms of unique.
makes
and
my heart feel
distinctive.
good.
I mean, I
That's
don't know
all.
about you all, but I picked up some stellar finds from Lancaster.
Yeah, you.
Oh,
were
my
in
entire
Toledo last
cocktail
week.
glass
You didn't-
collection
you-
is from Lancaster.
It's a slightly
So
different
good.
scene, slightly different glassware scene in Toledo. Anyway, Spätburgunder is another top German wine. That's the German name for Pinot Noir. So if you had Pinot Noir, you know what Spätburgunder is. It's from the warmer regions in the south, actually. So while the whole country is cool, so we're certainly not calling it a warmer, hot climate area, but it's slightly warmer than the north, as that tends to work in this hemisphere. Sweet fruit flavors complemented with subtle earth and leafy notes. Contextually, and this is kind of cool, we'll talk about this with Spain too, but contextually, the Spätburgunders kind of taste like a cross between New and Old World, because we were talking some about that climate there, that plays into it. So it is not a firmly Old World wine in terms of taste and minerality and earthiness and tannin build. Oh boy. The next two, Grauburgunder and Weissburgunder. Yay. So the Grauburgunder is Pinot Gris, and the Weissburgunder is Pinot Blanc. They're both light-bodied white. Pinot Gris has the heightened acidity, tingling quality, lush, sometimes oily mid-palate. And the Pinot Blanc is very delicate and subtle. As I was doing research for this one, I found the beautiful line, if there was ever a wine to serve at high tea with cucumber sandwiches, it would be Pinot Blanc. So think like delicate, refined, very classy, delicious. If you see a bottle of Pinot Blanc, you should get it and drink it because it's great.
I have a bottle at home, and I have cucumbers. I think I'm going to do it for dinner.
I'm a little jealous now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna eat like grilled cheese in my car or something.
Cucumber sandwiches and Pinot Blanc. Yeah. It's on. It's on.
Oh, I'm really jealous. Okay. Other top wines. Thurgau. Yahoo! Simple aromatic white wine. Sylvaner is a light, dry white wine with high acidity. Sekt, S-E-K-T, is a sparkling wine in the traditional method. So it is Germany's version of champagne, just like we're going to talk about cava and have talked about cava in Spain. All right. Chaptalization? Oh, rough today. Chaptalization. Slide 9. This is some background knowledge before we dig into Rieslings and German naming conventions in slide 10. Chaptalization.
Fun. So fun.
Serious nerd days. Thursdays are my serious nerd days. I wear my reading glasses. It's just amazing. Listen to classical this morning. It's just good. This is me. Okay. So chaptalization is the process of adding sugar to unfermented grape must in order to increase the alcohol content. So you're not adding sugar to sweeten the wine. You're adding sugar to give more food to the yeast so that it can be fermented into alcohol. This is also sometimes called enrichment. The EU, European Union, and all of their wine regulations, they'll use the term enrichment rather than chaptalization. Chaptalization is just the specific naming of this technique after the French chemist Jean-Antoine Claude Chaptal. See, I can do that. But the technique of adding sugar to wines for alcohol and mouthfeel and body has been around since the Romans adding honey to their wine very long ago. The legality of chaptalization varies by country, region, and even wine type. And so again, we'll talk about this a little bit more on the next slide, but in general, broad generalization, it is legal in regions that produce wines with low sugar, because again, the point is the sugar to add the alcohol. And in general, it is not legal in areas that produce wines with higher sugar. So again, kind of broadly speaking, you're going to see it a little bit more in cool climates than you do in warm climates. Right. The reason for that little background. German wine classifications on slide 10.
Yeah, this is my favorite slide.
There's so many words I can't say on this slide, guys. Pradekotzwein is the first word. So this is the top tier of wine classification in Germany. Wines are qualified by ripeness level and have minimum alcohol requirements, and they may not be chaptalized. So they have to have that alcohol content from the grapes themselves at the time of picking, no sugar addition to get the alcohol to where it needs to be. I'm not going to read through all of the details on this slide. A lot of this is more for you guys to have as reference. It's a little bit more minutia than we need to talk through, but it is in order from driest to sweetest, and I'm going to say these words because I practiced them. So there's Cabernet, Spätlese. Is it Spätlese or Spätlese? Spätlese, Auslese, Beerenauslese, and Trockenbeerenauslese, and then Eiswein. I was practicing that in my office this morning. I can't say this next word though.
Qualstein wine.
No, you added a syllable. Qualitätswein? Qualitätswein. All right. That's the next tier. It's the next lower tier, which is still considered upper tier. These are wines made with approved grape sourced from one of Germany's 13 regions. Chaptalization is legal in this case. And then, again, if you wanted to get online, there's much more to German wine classification than this. This is what you're probably going to see stateside. You're probably not going to see the other classifications over here. You need to go to your Germany. Was Europe and Germany put together?
You guys will see those Qualstein wines a lot. Like, I can't remember the brand, but it's like this big blue bottle, and it's kind of like grocery store, like gas station German Riesling. That's almost always like a Qualstein wine, and it usually has that sugar added to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, chaptalization. Because it's going to be easier to make it that way because you're less dependent on where you're growing your grapes, your wine grower, all those things. So we are now going to taste this week's wines from Germany. We're going to start with the Cabernet. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
We have the Rommerhof Riesling. And see on the bottle there? So we've got the producer, and then we've got the wine that it is, the Riesling, then right under that, we have cabinets. And there are a whole bunch of people that just walk by this door that think I'm holding a bottle of wine in the air for no good reason. So that's cool.
So I really love Riesling. I think that it is a beautiful grape. I have a ton of respect for the wines of Germany. And I really hope that, like, as you guys taste through these, you'll develop a different opinion of Riesling, because most people think that it is just, Chateau Ste. Michelle late harvest, and that couldn't be further from the truth. So yeah, let's get into this. Get your nose in that. I'm getting a little bit of petrol, a bit of gassiness, steeliness, some minerality.
That's a word that you're going to hear a lot from German Rieslings and Austrian Rieslings that you don't usually hear when we're talking New World Rieslings.
Also Alsatian Rieslings.
What word?
Or Alsatian wines.
Petrol. Mm-hmm. The petrol are gas. Minerals and stones from Shannon. Jasmine. Oh, that's fun.
I get jasmine too.
Mm.
I love Riesling. I'm very excited to taste through these.
How
Whites are my go-to.
How does that feel in the mouth?
Remember,
Pear.
yeah.
Hold on, we're frozen.
We're frozen. Oh,
Okay.
tons of apricot in the mouth.
Mm-hmm. If you guys want to just we're kind of backing up a little bit, take a look at how the legs fall here and notice that it doesn't really tear down. It actually just kind of sheets down.
Mm-hmm.
Typically these wines are pretty low alcohol.
Which is also why they're going to be a little bit less sweet.
Mm-hmm. I also wanted to point out that this wine that we are drinking is from Mosel. That is the region.
Good stuff. Let's try that Spotlays. Spotlays.
So as we go through these different styles, these words are really talking about the ripeness of the grapes. So as you know, the more ripe the fruit, the more sugar that can be fermented into alcohol. So as you start to go up the chain, you will start to see higher levels of alcohol, deeper levels of sweetness, unless the winemaker chooses to ferment dryness, which means Trocken, don't forget.
Trocken. There were so many slides I wanted to put into this PowerPoint. So many. Dana popped in while I was doing it and made me take some slides out, which was good for everyone. But there's just so much because the language is not a Romance language, so a lot of those things that we already know, it's brand new with these. Okay, so for this one, we're tasting the Gessinger. This label, you can see, has a lot more information on it than the last one did. But that second line of blue text there above those little emblems we see where it says about face. And this is also Mosel.
I'm going to Germany next year.
I texted Leroy today and said I would like to go to Germany, Austria, and Portugal and drink all the wine.
So you responded?
He said it sounded good. Wow, I get a lot more petrol on this one.
Also very tropical.
Mm-hmm. And this one still sheets, but it's sheeting lower. Slower. It's not sheeting as quickly. At least for me.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
It's trying so hard to tear and wants to tear, but it just can't. It's just not there, and it's okay.
What's
You
the
don't have
ABV
to
on this,
tear.
Allie?
Probably 10.
8.
Wow.
Nope, sorry. That's the other one. Very on.
We're waiting.
8.5.
8.5. So what do you guys get in the mouth? Slightly caramely, for sure. Give it a break. I'll give it a break. I'll be kind.
That's really delicious.
Holy moly.
Yeah.
Yeah, super juicy, right? Nice acidity. I don't care what anyone says. I drink it all day.
That's one of the things is like we all know like there are good and bad styles of everything. You know, if you like Parm, there's really bad Parm style cheeses out there. And there's Parmigiano Reggiano. And there's really disgusting soft ripens. And there's really beautiful bries.
Totally.
And it's like that with sweet wine. It's like that with sweet Riesling. There are lots of really bad sweet Rieslings out there. But that's why we're doing this, is so we know the words that we're looking for, we know the areas we're looking for, to be able to get the ones that are good and are great representations of the style and are fair to the country and the winemakers that make them. I saw the word succulently sweet, the phrase succulently sweet, so many times while doing the research for this one, and I understand that as I taste these wines. I thought that was a really interesting word choice when I was just reading, but tasting them, it's a great way to describe them.
I know, it's so good.
All right, up next is the Auslese. You guys ever seen that video? It's like on YouTube where they're saying words in different languages and somebody like says the French word for butterfly and then they say like the Spanish word for butterfly and then somebody yells the German word for butterfly because it just always sounds like you're yelling.
You're yelling?
If you haven't seen it, you have to look it up. It's great. We are again drinking Gessinger for the Auslese. And you can see, again, this is a whole lot of information on this label. So that's just a winery's choice. So they're consistent with their lots of information on this label versus the Romerhoff, where it's a little bit more pretty picture, just necessary information.
All right, notice the color of this. Like as we go through these, you know, the first one was very pale. The second one was a little bit deeper in color, and then this one is nice and golden. And again, we're just talking about how that wine just gets riper.
I have
More riper. I don't know.
the ripeness is increased.
The ripeness has increased.
I have some legs on this, some very slow sheeting on most of the glass, and a couple spots where like after it sheet for like half an inch,
Get a little drippity drip there.
and get a little bit of legs,
A little
a
bit.
little bit of tears.
9% EBV.
9%, so slowly working our way up. Oh, petrol again.
All the gas.
High in Zweifel It's just so fun to say.
Yes. What else do you guys get? Definitely, you still have that great acidity, but it's very round.
Mm-hmm. And that's, you know, when we talked about way back in the first call where we talked about the way the different aspects of wine hit your palate and how the alcohol content will impact mouthfeel.
Mm-hmm.
And as we have not gone up a whole lot, we went from 8.5 to 9.5. It was enough though that I certainly felt the difference, a lot more round on the palate. Not the point where I'd say full yet, but definitely much more rounded. Slightly sweeter aroma and a little tropical. Very pear and mango. Jerry smells ginger. Keith says brighter than the cabinet. I thought that the spot lace tasted
Brighter, yeah.
brightest to me. Well, not yeah, out of the three.
And gosh, it's just nectar. This is just
Yeah.
just a glass of nectar. So next we would actually come up on Baron Auslese. which
You
typically,
mean Trockenbeerenauslese.
no, it's actually Beerenauslese, then Trockenbeerenauslese.
Oh, I thought you meant if we were tasting.
Yes.
Okay, fine. I just
So
didn't
in those
correct it.
levels of ripeness. So that Beerenauslese is going to be the ripest, well, below ice wine. It's very hard to get. It's very expensive. It's typically only made in half bottles, or that's really what we see it. Most people drink it more as a dessert wine
Mhm.
because it is ripe and very concentrated, and a lot sweeter than this Alsace, even though this one does have, like this one I would definitely consider sweet. The Spatlés I would still not necessarily consider sweet, which is more, off dry. So we don't have one of those. We didn't recommend getting one of those because we know they're so hard to get. And Trockenbeerenauslese is a challenge too, and not many of us have it. I think who had it?
PCC. Did Amanda at PCC?
So Amanda, go ahead and try it, and just everyone remember that this is one of the highest levels of ripeness, but fermented to dryness. So really great acidity. I'm getting medium sweet. Bottle labeled it medium dry, but I'm getting medium sweet. Okay. Got you, Sean. That works. Anyway, that Trockenbeerenauslese. If anybody out there has it, please pop it now and give it a try. And you're in for a treat. And fermented to dryness, but still rich.
And as we're talking about the difference in like moving from off dry to sweet and this and that, and that's part of why I included some of those details on slide 10, because it does have the range of grams of residual sugar to the liter. And like for context, ice wine usually has starts at 260 grams of sugar per liter. So 260 grams per liter of residual sugar. A liter of Coca-Cola has slightly more than 200 grams per liter. So I mean, we're talking, I always think Coca-Cola when we're talking sweet drinks. So sugar-wise, we're talking, again, like a quarter as much more, third as much more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So significant sugar content.
How are you liking it, Amanda?
So much petrol and minerality on the nose. If anyone else out there has a Trockenbeerenauslese, tell us about it. Very sweet, slightly acidic. A lot of grass.
Wish. So another fun thing to note is that these are made from raisinated grapes. So if you guys remember when we were, drinking the Amarone and like the level of concentration that brings to the wine, you'll see that in this as well. Like very, very, very rich candied ginger, sweet ginger.
And raisinated grapes on the vine.
Yes.
So that is an important piece. These were not raisinated in the sun after they were picked. This is on the vine they were raisinated, just like the ice vine was frozen on the vine. It's not pulled off and then frozen. All right. Let's move a little bit west and go to Portugal. So we are now on slide 12, moving into slide 13. Cool, and that it is a very small country, but throughout that country, drastically different climates. And when we're talking like winemaking climate, these are the extremes of the winemaking climate. So not extremes in terms of like Sahara Desert, but in terms of where you could grow and make wine. These are kind of, they cover the whole extreme to extreme gamut. Portugal is famous for port, but also produces excellent dry wines. They have over 200 native wine grapes, but most are not well known outside the country. So when we were talking Italy, we were talking about all the wine grapes that are there. Portugal also is a contender for lots of native grape award. Long ago, Portugal was at the leading edge of wine technology, and port is one of the world's first demarcated wine regions. It got its regional status in 1757. So because of these things, because they've been doing great wine for a long time, and they have a port right there on the Atlantic Ocean, they are one of the most exciting places in terms of really great, high quality value wine. They had I just had a friend that just got back from Portugal and he was talking about how incredible it was and just all these different delicious wines he had for very little money and how everybody was so nice. And I'm really jealous.
Sounds great.
I watched his dog. I watched his dog while he was there. Jake and I had a great time. All right, top wines of Portugal. Oh, we need to apologize again. Don't speak Portuguese, and Dana's not going to be able to help on this one. there's no saving grace here.
It's actually Toriga.
I'm just saying in general.
Okay.
Before I go into it, good grief. I can say Toriga Nacional too.
Okay. That was not hard, Allison.
I just feel like we're next. Whatever.
Anyway.
Toriga Nacional is Portugal's most important grape. It is used in port. It is used in lots of dry red blends. It originated in the Douro Valley, and it's now grown throughout the country.
You know where it's grown? It's also grown in Virginia. And we tasted
We did.
a Toriga from Virginia
A
last
very
week.
tasty Toriga from Virginia Virginia, stay tuned later this year. Tempranillo is another top Portugal wine. It is called Tinta Aurores in the north and Aragonés in the southern part of Portugal. Don't think those were right, but it's spelled there correctly. This is more smoky red fruit flavor, cinnamon, bittersweet chocolate. Douro Reds. So the Douro Valley, if you were looking on your map, is northeastern part of Portugal. Is home to dozens of native varieties. Dry Tinto blends have been on the rise. And dense fruit chocolate flavors, robust tannins. If you guys remember 4 or 5 years ago, our fall point of origin program was Portugal. There was delicious Douro on that program. It was so good with Zimbro.
Zimbro.
I love Zimbro. Dow Reds. Dow is mountainous. They have spicy, more tannic wines that are grown there. Blends are common, but there are single varietal focused wines that are very highly regarded. So they're not super easy to get, but if you see them, they're supposed to be quite delicious. Other top wines from Portugal, Trincadeira, which is a woodsy red wine. Arinto, white wine that ranges young and citrusy to aged in oak and all those secondary flavors that come from it. Alvarinho, which we'll be calling Alvarinho in Spain, but Alvarinho in Portugal. It's usually low alcohol, slightly fizzy white, Vinho Verde, but it can be a rich, oily, mid-palate, complex depth. So again, like a lot of these grapes we've talked about, it has a younger, more value, easy drinkable version and a more elegant, refined, highbrow version. All right, slide 15, we dig into port a little bit. Same kind of thing as this slide where we dug into things for Germany. We're just going to kind of skim over this, but I wanted you to have this information. Port is Portugal's most famous fortified wine. It runs the gamut of styles and color. We go from white to rosé to red and then tawny. They are listed there in terms of color and age. So if you're looking at a color wheel, we'd start with the white port, move into rosé, ruby, late bottle vintage, crusted port, colheita, and then tawny, we've moved from the reds and out to rust. So think like really old Pinot Noir. We have that rusty color.
Brown, toffee.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a nice toffee color.
Yeah. So that slide's more there for reference. We're going to go on and move on to Spain. But do take a chance to look over that and maybe have that handy so when you have a customer asking about ports, use that for reference. And in a few slides, you'll have one like that for sharing. So Spain. You can see there it's what Portugal's nestled into. Same kind of thing as Portugal, where there are wine regions all over the country. Also have some islands there. Canary Islands are Spain's and are the wine growing regions. So some quick facts about Spain. If you're talking major in the broadest sense of the term, there are 3 major climate zones. If you're digging in a little bit more, you can see 7 overarching climate areas. I saw both of those numbers as I was doing the research, so I wanted you to know both of them so you don't think something's changed. Just slightly different tiers of how we're looking at it. So like we were talking about with the German Pinot Noir before, the wines of Spain feature a dichotomy between bold fruit and dusty minerality, which makes them fall kind of between old world and new world style wines. So this can be a nice bridge if someone usually prefers one or the other and you're trying to please both at a dinner, Spanish wine's a good way to go. Spain boasts the highest vineyard acreage in the world, but the yields are relatively low because they have wide vine spacing and limited water usage. Did you know that Spain is the second leading wine producer in the world?
I did.
After Italy, it's not France.
Spain, not France. And don't forget though that the number one is Italy.
Is Italy?
Do
Yeah.
not forget.
Don't ever forget. It's been a couple years now that Italy's been the lead. But Spain,
Spain's two. Spain's number two.
there you go.
France is number three.
Country of origin for several top varieties: Tempranillo, Garnacha, Garnacha, which is going to be the same grape as Grenache, Garnacha, and Monastrell. And some people that are kind of sassy say that if it originated in Spain and it's called Garnacha there, it should be called Garnacha everywhere, not Grenache.
I mean,
the files don't agree.
The French do their own thing. Let them be.
There are some varieties of grape, like Petit Verdot, that are not from Spain, but they actually grow better in Spain than their place of origin. It's kind of an interesting little weird thing about Spain. Climate zones. So when we talked about those 3 climate zones, the major ones, we have green Spain, which is cool climate. Northern Spain is warm climate, and southern Spain is hot climate. So we run the full bracket there. And then Spanish wine classifications. Again, we're going to stay kind of high level on this slide, but I wanted you guys to have it for reference. So the highest level is DOP. And there are 3 sub-classifications within DOP that kind of refers to how big of an area the wine came from. So the creme de la creme is going to be from the very smallest places. There's a list of 15, I think it's 2 actually for that one. The next one's 15. Limited. Hard to get that rating. And then there's IGP, which is good everyday wines. These are slightly larger regional zones, slightly lower requirements than DOP. And then the lowest tier is Vino, which is translates to table wine. Basic table wines of Spain, no regional specificity. Many are simply labeled red or white. For our non-Pennsylvania wine states, Don Simone is a good example of a table wine. So those are labeled by varietal, but that's a pretty typical Spanish table wine. Top wines of Spain, Reserva Rioja. We are going to taste one of those. It's a full-bodied red Tempranillo, Garnacha, like we talked about. Rosado, I wanted to touch on this because Rosado is not that orangish, pinkish light color that you think of when you think French rosés. It's a much more brilliant red. And Chacoli, which is a dry white wine, often a little bit of spritz to it. Other wines famous for Monastrell, also Mourvedre, called Mourvedre, Mencia, Verdejo, Cava. And then slide 21, we dig into sherry here. And again, this is more for you guys to have as reference. We run through the dry styles and the sweet styles. And the most base level of sweet styles of sherry is just called sweet and sherry, and then it has 5 tiers within there. And again, we have the sugar levels on there. So this will help you, especially rolling into the holidays when people are looking. You usually sell more sherry around the holidays. Have this slide for your team. Have this available for them because this is going to help them out in terms of what means what the customer's looking for. All right.
Alberino. You have the Marin Kodaks here.
Sure do.
From Ernest Basha.
That's nicely.
Definitely a change from what we've already been tasting.
Yeah, in a big way.
I got some nice bright tropical fruit, a little bit of pineapple. Also slightly medicinal.
Tingles a little bit in your nose more. Like that brighter acidity that comes across in the nose.
We're back in the legs, streaming. Nice and
So,
dandelion. Yeah,
um,
I get that.
I wasn't keeping up with comments. There's lots of fun ones before that. Orange with mango nose, a relaxed finish with a fruity nose. I love this wine too.
Flight recommendations. Amanda's going to Spain. We love this wine.
I signed up for that Scots list just now. Oh my God. Flights to Belize for like $300.
I can fly to Belize for free with my points from Southwest. So can you.
No, I can't.
That's
I don't have that
not.
many points.
I mean, you do go to Kentucky and Cincinnati a lot.
I just got on the Southwest train.
Have I taught you nothing about collecting points, Allie?
I wasn't flying out of BWI as much. I was flying out of Dulles. It's just not, they're more like Delta and United.
And Dulles is the worst. Dulles is the worst, right, guys?
You know, when you gotta have certain flights, you gotta have
I have
certain
happy
flights.
childhood memories of my dad coming home at Dulles and there's wolves.
This is what we talk about.
Oh, we're so boring.
All right, so
Let's get into that Verdejo from Rueda.
I was like, look, Allie, someone agrees with you. Oh, no, that was you.
I agree with Dave.
I agree with you too. I like Dulles because it's like 10 minutes from my parents' house.
Keith, we're on the same level.
There's also a good nail salon there.
In the Dulles airport.
Yep.
So, for our Verdejo, we're drinking El Terrano.
Very Sauvignon Blanc on the nose to me.
Yeah.
It's got that limey, grapefruity,
For sure.
gooseberry.
Happy that ammonia. And then that was some of that Sauv Blanc that we're talking about. Sauv Blanc notes. Similarities.
Someone say Cappy? Yeah, yes, got it. Totally Cappy.
I think Farty Wet Dog might take the cake for me for the entire series of calls.
It might also mean you need a different bottle.
And maybe like your dog, like switch your dog's food.
Yeah, you need to switch your dog's food.
Already wet talk. You guys are getting so descriptive. I really love it.
We love it. Amanda, at some point, try a Verdejo again, just a different one. Yeah.
Are we drinking the El Torado, Amanda?
Mm-mm.
No.
Pennsylvania.
PCC, yeah. So, bummer. I think you got a bad bottle. All right, Garnacha. Need to rinse that out because I've already used both my glasses because I wasn't paying attention.
We have Las Rocas Garnacha for this one. With that super amazing and some wine.
I've been drinking so much white wine.
Yeah.
This red wine, it smells good. It's not so disgustingly hot. It's like 75 degrees outside. It feels cold.
It was cold in Toledo. And I didn't really even bring a sweatshirt.
I came in this morning telling Allison it was cold, and she looked at me. She's like, "No, it's not.
You just need to walk faster.
Go away.
That's what I said.
I'll give you a blanket."
My sweater's right there. You want my sweater? You need to walk
It's not
faster.
cold. Don't you tell anybody it's cold.
Our air conditioning was broken for like a month.
It was awful.
It
We're
was
like
really bad.
sitting in our offices dripping sweat.
So we don't want to tell anyone it's cold. We don't want to risk it being turned down. Just walk faster.
Race.
Dark red fruits, lavender, and there's a little leather.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely get it. Oak comes through
Mm-hmm.
significantly on this bottle.
It's flowery too, for sure. Some nice juicy red berries.
This is what I'm in.
Dry. Yes, tannins. Yes, eucalyptus.
Yeah. Lots of oak, raspberry, leather, tobacco. Tasty.
Tempranillo, let's do it. We got the El Torano Tempranillo.
So pretty. You all know what it looks like.
Except for Amanda.
So fun. And as we taste this wine, well, I guess I can. Please hold, I'll sit on the next one.
A little bit more earth, right? Not as much pronounced fruit as you get from that Gracia.
A little more tannic too.
Mm-hmm. I always like to Pinot drinkers towards Tempranillo if they're complaining about the price of Pinot. Because it has that,
Yeah.
Tempranillo has some elegance and some lightness. I mean, it's light. It's not a heavy, it's not a heavy wine. And it definitely has some finesse.
Hearing lots of cherry from different people, whether it's cherry and oak or cherry and tannic or black cherry, and yeah, that's definitely a flavor consistent in this wine.
And then let's get our Rioja Reserva from Lot. And Rioja is typically a blend. Do we have a blend on this?
Tempranillo.
Is this 100% Tempranillo?
I thought so. But I think Reserva Rioja is going to be Tempranillo.
Tempranillo.
Yeah.
You can really smell the wood on this one.
Doesn't say on slow. But yeah, it should be 100% Tempranillo because that's what I was going to say on the last one is we're tasting the same grape again. Reserva Rioja has a very strict set of wine classifications for aging, and it is actually, as Dana's pointing out, the wood profile on the nose. It is the only wine that requires the usage of American oak. So that's why you're getting that much more aggressive oak on it. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, so I was just double checking my facts here. The Rioja can be made of Tempranillo, Viura, Grenache, Graciano, and Mezuelo. So there are quite a few grapes that can be blended.
When it's called Reserva, is it limited at that point though? I know as you go through the types of Rioja, there's lots of we can look it up after.
We can look it up later.
Yeah.
We'll circle back with you. I'm not finding that. However, Oak Bomb.
Cigars with velvet. That's my nickname.
It does have a velvety feel for sure. I definitely get that smoky, cigar-y, ashy. It's 2:00.
It sure is.
Allison's got her Magnum edition out.
This is what I don't know. Okay, Tempranillo based.
Okay.
Yeah.
No worries.
Cool.
I'm sure somewhere along this 10 calls I've said something that was wrong too. Wow, it's 2:00.
It's 2:00.
Feeling some emotion in my heart here, knowing that this is our last call. Goodness.
I'm not
Right.
doing it. I still have to write the quiz.
But this is the last time we get to talk to these
No, I
people
know.
in this way.
I hope you guys have enjoyed it. I know I said I was going to put out a survey mid-call and was not able to get to it. We are going to put out a survey now. We would really like your honest, please, I mean, you can be kind about it, but say what you really think, what you really think could be better, what has changed that you like, what has changed that you didn't like. We plan to do this multiple times, and I know that I've certainly changed how I'm doing things as we go through, and I would love to hear your perspective, to hear what you think needs to change too, because we want to keep growing this program and
They're
make it
writing
better
nice
each year.
things.
Aww.
I know.
Awesome. We feel loved.
We do.
We've loved it. You didn't put wine in your glass. Cheers.
Yeah, we do.
Yes.
Oh, okay, the last
do you
one.
want?
I'll take the Garnache shot.
Yeah.
No, I want that.
You can take it home. I'm not taking it home. I just want it out. I just didn't want those Temperanitos. I'm not feeling it today. Not feeling it today. So,
I thought you were going to ask for a Riesling.
I know. I'm gonna take Riesling home. Anyway, you guys, we've really enjoyed doing this. I think that it really pushed us, right? Because we grind so hard with things like OTS and new stores and store visits and category management and, some things that aren't always fun, but are fun, but are hard. I don't really know what to say, but really why we all got into this is because we love products. And I'm getting emotional, gosh. And this really brought us back to products. So as much as we have given to you, it really kind of filled our cups as well. So huge appreciations to Allison for doing a tremendous amount of work to get this to you guys every week. And thank you to Allie for editing and doing all the tech.
All of the behind the scenes.
Which
All of the behind the scenes is Allie.
you really just see me and Allison, but Allie's been here every week with us. Come over here, Allie, get on this side of the camera.
Allie's worst nightmare right now.
It's really not a twosome, it's a threesome.
I know what I look like.
And yeah, we've had a ton of fun. So we hope that you guys have learned a lot, and we hope that you've taken it back to your customers and your team members. We're going to do it again next year. And for the rest of our lives, we're going to do it once a year for the rest of it.
We're gonna do it for beer.
We're going to do it for beer.
Yeah.
We're going to find a way to do it for cheese. Thank you all. Cheers.
Cheers.
Peace. Good luck.